Pyo Namo Namaha. We are gathered here for the most auspicious of conversations, just as the sages at Naimisharanya gathered to discuss what is the method by which one can do the highest welfare for all people in the world. And today we have venerable devotees from various parts of the world. We have those who are beginners, and all of us are working together as one team. A little bit of advocacy goes a long way. Advocacy contains the word vak, which means by hearing, one becomes inspired. This is how devotees from time immemorial have become inspired in their service, is coming together to discuss the worthiness of their causes. And therefore, we're following in their footsteps. We feel perfectly aligned in this process with Srila Prabhupada as he asked us to hold Ishtagoshti, that is, come together and discuss the ultimate goal of life, how to achieve it, and how to give it to other people. It's a daring and active process, devotional service. That is, there's a way in which we have to take risks. Spiritual entrepreneurialism is the order of the day in order to stay on the cutting edge of one's spiritual practice. I first offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all the devotees who are present here today. Special thanks to His Holiness Janananda Swami, Sachinandan Swami, Brahma Muhurta Prabhu, Vishaka Prabhu joining us from the Manor, and to all the other devotees who have joined from all over the world. I name every one of you, but you'd get angry at me for taking so much time. You wouldn't get angry, actually. You'd be happy, but we have to move on. So today, in our agenda, we're going to check in with various parts of the world. We're finding this to be an edifying process, hearing what others are doing on the various continents, and realizing our interconnectedness and interdependence on one another. This is one of the exercises that is most important for us in the Krishna consciousness movement, is find common ground. Find the unassailable services that bind us together. No one argues that much about the distribution of books because it's an unassailable service. It was stated so unequivocally by Srila Prabhupada to be the essential aspect of our Krishna consciousness movement. What's more, by our previous acharyas. And we're following in the footsteps and taking the order directly from Srila Prabhupada to distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. And we also know that Srila Prabhupada brought with him from India the Srimad Bhagavatam and wrote about it on the Jaladuta. Imagine the spiritual tension in the air when Srila Prabhupada's sailing. He's riding on a cargo ship with no extra facility except for the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he writes about how this will be the conquering force. And imagine how we're doing the same thing when every day we take to the telephone to call someone, or we go door to door somewhere to present Krishna consciousness so that somebody else can take advantage of it. So what is the efficacy of this? Here's a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, text number 13. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all other living beings can be immediately purified. So this is the Bhagavat culture, to become non-envious and to give every single living entity an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. That's the occupation of those engaged in Bhagavat culture. And the means is all chalked out through the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which is the main source of inspiration for all devotees. It's the unassailable source of all perfect information as stated by Srimad Mahaprabhu himself. So today we're going to be talking to devotees from various parts of the world about how things are going towards our goal of distributing at least 25,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams worldwide, globally, as a team. And we're going to start off the day by hearing from the most eloquent of speakers, Her Grace Mother Vishaka Devi, speaking to us live from the chambers of the Bhaktivedanta Manor. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us once again in this campaign. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for inviting me. I do feel like a frog amidst swans, I must say. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvase Sasunyavadi Paskya Tadevatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for inviting me to be in your company. It's a very uplifting occasion for me to be amongst such sincere, dedicated Vaishnavas. So I very much appreciate that and the opportunity to speak about a little bit about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam and the glories of trying to give Srimad Bhagavatam to others. I was reflecting that today is the 75th anniversary of the independence of India, August 15th, 1947. India got independence from Great Britain. And when America had its 200th Independence Day, Prabhupada was with us, and he discussed this idea of independence, and how actually it's fallacious. No one is independent. We are all dependent on God. So he was saying, for instance, the scientists, they can make the 747, but they can't even make a mosquito. So in this way, we are dependent on God for the air that we breathe, for the sunshine, for the food that we eat, for our intelligence, for our ability. And we're asleep to that dependence. We're striving for independence, but actually that's illusory. We are all dependent. And the Srimad Bhagavatam will enable us to realize our dependence on God. Without this knowledge, we will simply strive for independence and be frustrated and confused. So it's such an important gift, such an important perspective, such an important service that we have to ourselves, try to understand our dependence on Krishna, and then to help others understand it through this knowledge that's so eloquently given in Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a time in Juhu, Srila Prabhupada would walk on the beach in Juhu every day, every morning, from 6 to 7. So one morning he saw a gentleman, a well-dressed gentleman, walking his dog, and they were both quite aristocratic, both the man and his dog, very healthy, strong, perhaps proud. And Prabhupada commented that, like his master, the dog was healthy and proud and going along in such a strong way. And he said it's because this dog is Sanatha. This Natha means the Lord or the master, and Sanatha means one who has a master and a Lord. And that person, or in this case, that animal, is protected. But then, as we often do in India, we saw some stray dogs, and Prabhupada said they were anatha, means they were without a master, without a protector, and therefore they were very fearful. They were not very well kept. They were in a unfortunate situation. So he was encouraging all of us to become sanatha, that to accept the shelter of the spiritual master, of Krishna, and of course of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishna in a book form, in a literary form. So this is the shelter that Prabhupada is offering us, and we can take the shelter and offer it to others as best we can. And then we can experience Krishna through the pages of the Bhagavatam, through his service. Now Janmashtami is coming very quickly. I was reading the auspicious signs when Krishna was about to appear. Maybe I could just take a moment and just read a little bit of that. It's Prabhupada's translation. It's from Canto 10, Chapter 3, and it's texts 1 through 5. They're all put together. Prabhupada writes in this translation, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the Brahmins engaged in ritualistic ceremonies, ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and brahmanas, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the cores of their hearts. And kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary system. Such a beautiful description of the Lord's appearance in 2 weeks? We'll be celebrating the anniversary of his appearance, so we can try to also experience the peacefulness and the beauty of his appearance, and of his appearance also in the Srimad Bhagavatam that you are so liberally distributing far and wide. So I thank you very much for your service. Thank you for your kindness and allowing me to be in your presence. All glories to his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Gaur Premanande, Haribo. Thank you very much, Vishaka Devi Prabhu, for your stalwart presence on the planet and for your leadership and eloquence in presenting the Krishna consciousness philosophy. Hare Krishna, we're deeply grateful. Keeping with the location, we have now Divyanam Prabhu, who's one of the leaders of the book distribution movement in Europe, helping to organize the various teams across Europe. And if you would, Divyanam Prabhu, please give us a report of how things are going and what's happening over there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my obeisances to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and to everybody else. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bevacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for inspiring us, and to everybody else who's on the call, including Mother Vishakha, who's our constant inspiration here in Europe. And we also have His Holiness Jananand Maharaj on the call with us, and hopefully soon Sachinandan Maharaj. Um, uh, Shama Mohini Mataji, would it be possible to have the Europe map put on while I speak? Is that possible?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. So, firstly, I want to share a good news that we have two countries, new countries who have added up onto the map. One is Croatia. We have arranged for them to get 60 sets from our lot from Germany directly going to them. And they immediately said, we are up for it. With few weeks left, we're going to try 60 sets. We haven't done it before. I've also had an opportunity to connect with Slovenia, and they are in the process of working out the logistics, again, arranging some sets of Bhagavatam, and they should confirm to us by hopefully Tuesday, a goal which they are eyeing this year. I think that's the most exciting part for us, that we have grown as a region in Europe from one temple 3 years ago, which was the first time Bhaktivedanta Manor. But now if you see, so many temples are coming together, and this I feel would be the most pleasing thing for Srila Prabhupada among all the numbers from our end, to reach out to as wide community as possible. And this was pointed by His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj last time. And yeah, so we are trying to reach out. The update from Europe is that we have some devotees who've joined in, but some leaders, they're on different calls. So they have sent me updates. So the updates are, I have ISKCON Soho. They have distributed already 50 Srimad Bhagavatam sets against the goal of 125. So they're doing really well. They're doing reading groups with new people on the Bhagavatam, which is really a big hit actually as a idea of distribution of Bhagavatam set. Manchester has also distributed around 20 sets of Bhagavatam against the goal of 50. And they are constantly promoting events and working with the community. So their energy is really high. Hungary, on the other hand, has done extremely well. They have distributed 120 sets of Bhagavatam so far, with a goal of 200. They've been distributing Bhagavatams throughout the year, even before the Bhadra campaign, because it's the first time after many years they could get Hungarian language printed. So they're doing really well actually on Bhagavatam sets. Czech has distributed, I think, 10 sets so far. We have Belgium, Luxembourg with Yadurani Mataji. She's doing really well. She's distributed 40 sets already. And now with the lockdown, they're really focusing on their online strategy actually. So thank you, Yadurani Mataji, if you're tuned in. So and for really helping Luxembourg, Belgium, this country, and Netherlands as well. So thank you for your coordination there, Yadurani Mataji. We have, apart from this, we also have Bhaktivedanta Manor, we have done about 105 Bhagavatam set against our goal of 400. We do have pledges for nearly 345 sets. Last we counted, so now it's just the last few weeks run up to the campaign that we are trying to put our energy in preparing ourselves to get closer to that goal, or if not, smash it. The exciting part for Bhaktivedanta Manor, for the first time, actually, we've been able to get, we have now 26 teams of children with 4 children in each of the team who are doing Bhagavatam presentations online. So that's, I would say, is our biggest hope this year, because a lot of families, our Bhakti Vriksha itself have created 24 groups of children actually, and they've just started their presentation, and they're all super excited. So yesterday we had a presentation by children, and we just in the Sangha, we did 2 Bhagavatam sets, and many families said, let me connect you with another Sanghas, another group, another tea party, which is happening with people on a holiday right now. So that we see as a great hope. I think once you do one presentation, Krishna sends many contacts for you to present as well, actually. So that has been our experience. So the most exciting part for Europe, I would say, is the kids actually, because we are also participating in Janmashtami. We are doing a talk show. That's an early stage. My wife has been working with Sridham, and we are planning to do a talk show on the main festival stage actually on Srimad Bhagavatam, and with little children doing the prayers of Queen Kunti. So that's a program we are trying to put it together. For the pleasure of thousands of people who are going to come on Janmashtami at the manor. So those were some updates from Europe, Maharaj. So the energy is high, and it is only going to go up from here. Thank you so much for everyone's encouragement, and we seek blessings that we are able to, hopefully meet and smash our goal.
Thank you, Divyanam Prabhu. Seeing the map certainly is calling to us to fill in all those extra spaces. And as you pointed out, when we see an extra light come onto the map where the Bhagavatams are being distributed, it means much more than just a number. It means that there are devotees organizing themselves around this principle of giving mercy to others. And it requires organization, which then spills out into the rest of the community. As Prabhupada himself pointed out, the seventh purpose of ISKCON is to print and distribute books, manuals, magazines, periodicals, and by so doing, we will fulfill the aforementioned purposes. Now we have one of my personal heroes and a great international treasure in the Vaishnav world, His Holiness Janananda Swami, who we've watched constantly over the last several years bring the France book distribution to light and breathe life into it. I look at your newsletters, and every time we hear about you or see you and watch the team that's arisen there in France, we understand that there's someone behind it who's giving giving the devotees that impetus. So we're so happy to have you here today, Maharaj, just to hear from you. Please feel free to go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Sheshika Prabhu? Somebody else talking there. Hare Krishna. Well, thank you very much for your words of encouragement, but actually you are our hero and our inspiration here in France, of course, under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And we have Brahma Muhurta Prabhu as another of our heroes here, who's doing such sterling work to help us here in the French Yatra, and many others in the BBT and around the world. I offer my obeisances to all the devotees, both those online and offline, wherever we are. Well, we did hear that Belgium, despite the lockdown that Jadharani Dasi is inspiring so many sets of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatams to reach their destination. We also have been affected here by the lockdown in France. You could say in a different way. Our lockdown here in France is that we've been locked down without Srimad Bhagavatam sets now for many decades. And we'd love to join you with some figures, but they'd only be ethereal at this moment of time because we don't have any way of physically manifesting them. But we are hoping and praying by Srila Prabhupada's mercy and all your grace that this year Brahma Muhurta Prabhu and Narayani and all the devotees of the North European BBT have been working very feverishly to reprint the French Srimad Bhagavatam sets this year. So we do hope that this year we will have them. We won't have them, I don't think, for Bhadra Purnima. That would be a bit much to expect. But at least we hope by the Christmas marathon, the Prabhupada book marathon, that we might be able to get this privilege of being able to take Srila Prabhupada's mercy in this form. I would like to mention, although Divyanam Prabhu is, we are sometimes in touch with each other, but not so often. But he asked last year how many sets. Well, we did do a few sets. We have done a few sets this year in Tamil and Hindi and English Bhagavatams. Very few, maybe a dozen. So. But we have when the sets are ready. It's only up to the 10th canto, unfortunately, at this point. But when they're ready, we have already pledges for about 200 to 300 sets of Bhagavatams. And we hope to double that by the end of the year. So well, that doesn't count. And maybe that counts next year. I don't know how it works, but whatever. Already paid for. They're not just pledges, they've already paid in advance. So this is very exciting to us. We've been in this lockdown too long without Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Prabhupada's life and soul, is very heart. That his mission, practically speaking, is focused on Srimad Bhagavatam. And as Vaisheshika Prabhu was so wonderfully sharing with us early on, how on the boat on the Jaladuta, how Srila Prabhupada was basically absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam and its glories. And I just like to read a little bit, one of the most inspirational, to myself at least, wherever we've been in this little lifetime, one of the most inspirational things which I find of Srila Prabhupada's writing is his poem in Jaladuta in Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma in Boston, which was almost, I don't think it was on Bhadra Punim, but it was about that time, September the 18th, 1965, when Prabhupada arrived in Boston. I'll just read a few verses with your kind permission. Prabhupada's writing here. I wish, Prabhupada saying, I wish that you may deliver them, referring to the conditioned souls of this world. I wish, referring to Krishna, is approaching Krishna. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. At the time loving service is established in the heart, the modes of passion and ignorance and lust and desire disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man, rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord, gains liberation from material association and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. And Prabhupada carries on, he will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. And I just find that this poem of Srila Prabhupada's is like the mission statement in a sense. Even we could say for the whole of ISKCON, in a sense, it's the foundation, as they say, that's the spirit of the law, not the word of the law. We have many words, but the spirit which Srila Prabhupada manifests is our inspiration, and how Srila Prabhupada so much appreciated the endeavor to distribute these Srimad Bhagavatams, which he gave his life soul for, as the greatest, practically the greatest gift to humanity. And we're hoping that this year, with all of your blessings and the grace of the Lord, that we will have again be able to share the Srimad Bhagavatam in French with the, let's say, in this destitute part of the world. We've been off the map in a sense. As many of you know, France at one time, the devotees here were practically leading the world in book distribution. And some of those devotees are still around today. In fact, one came to the temple today. I'm at someone's house right now because the internet's not good enough at the temple to host, or not host, but to be on a program like this hardly. So anyway, that devotee came. He's an old book distributor, and he wants to get back into book distribution again. We have quite a few devotees. Like I went out yesterday on Sankirtan with one of the leading book distributors of the 70s, and he's back into it. He did a few weeks ago, he did 38 Bhagavad Gitas in one day, which is quite something for France. If anyone's distributed books in France in the last decade or two, they'll know that it's quite rare. And we're very unsophisticated here. We're old-fashioned, we're immature, we're lacking in brains. We were just, we're not very Krishna conscious bunch, but we're trying a little bit to old style. We go on the street and we just try to distribute Prabhupada's books. We do try to do book tables, but the local authorities usually stop us because it's illegal at this moment. But we're trying. And on Bhadra Punim 2 years ago, we did have a bash at it. We do have the first canto, part 1 and 2 of the Bhagavatam in French, still left a few copies. And on Bhadra Punim Day, we distributed about 200 Srimad Bhagavatams, just one book, small book, hardbound book, first canto, part 1 or part 2. So we did something. It was really exciting. I must say, we'll do our best this year, but unfortunately, we can't report any scores in terms of sets, except for a few. If you want us to, we can do what we've done in terms of English and a few other languages. But we hope that next year we'll be able to, let's say, join you in terms of the, not just the spirit of the law, but the letter of the law as well, with some figures. And that's about it, I guess, at the moment. We're just trying. We've got 4 devotees on full-time book distribution now. We just purchased a traveling Sankirtan van for them to travel around in. And we have Agni Dev Prabhu here going around the country doing Harinam Sankirtan. He's staying in France right now, and he goes sometimes with a Harinam, with a book distribution party. It's a great combination, and we hope this will grow more and more and more. So France, a little bit, we might get back on that map and bring some pleasure to Srila Prabhupada again, which is what we're trying to do. The whole process is to please Srila Prabhupada by distributing his books. And I think we all know this is the sure way, as Vaisheshika Prabhu was saying. This is the infallible way. Other processes are important, but Kirtan, which includes Brihat Madanga Kirtan, is the infallible means of success in our Krishna consciousness. No one can doubt that. Whatever means it takes, whether it's online or on the street or door to door or whatever it is, somehow or another, this message of Srimad Bhagavatam has to penetrate their hearts. By Srila Prabhupada's grace, he's praying to the Lord, please, how they'll understand this message. Please may my words be suitable so that they can understand this message. So we pray that the Lord's mercy and the devotee's mercy, that we'll be able to share Srimad Bhagavatam, share Srila Prabhupada and all of our Acharyas' mercy and association with millions of people here in France. Maybe we hope that they may change a little bit the consciousness, and let's hope that we see what to say, the Vaikuntha that Srila Prabhupada lives in, manifesting a little bit more. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What else to say? This Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hey, Haribol.
Sheshika Prabhu.
Maharaj, and for all the devotees, edification, during the library parties' reign in the world, when they went from country to country, they sold standing orders, means there was a way in which people bought books that weren't yet available. And also during this Bhadra campaign, sometimes because of supply chain issues during COVID, there's the Bhagavatams might arrive a little bit after in some places, after Bhadra. It's okay. There's a way in which many devotees are pre-selling the books, and once they're pre-sold, they're counted because they just have to be received. So we're going to put you squarely on the map. We can put.
Well, I'm certainly square. I'm not very fair, but I'm square. Yeah. Okay. Well, you want a number?
Yeah, we'll get your numbers afterwards, and we'll get France on the map, and France is ready to make a comeback into its
Interested
rightful
in
position of being top in the world.
up in the world.
Thank you very much.
We want to be underneath everybody else and serve their lotus feet.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but we pray to you, and Brahma Muhurta Prabhu knows better than I do. But this is not a full set. I don't know if it counts. It's only up to the 10th canto because they never.
Yeah, it counts. It counts.
Okay,
It counts. And I agree with your idea of praying to Brahma Muhurta Prabhu. That's always I do it all the time. So now, to let everybody know what's coming up, we're going to have a short break with a special feature film. So you can stand up and stretch, watch the video, take a break if you need it. It's a 2-minute break. It's not long, but it's enough to get a little. And then afterwards, we have some reports from North America, Canada, Russia, and then we have Sachinandan Swami, who's actually on the call today and so eager to hear what have his association, hear him speak. So please stay. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Jai.
I have to go, Vaisheshika Prabhu. I got another Zoom class coming up.
Maharaj, you made your impact. You're showing up here. Your advocacy will stay with us. So thank you very, very much for what you're doing. Hare Krishna.
All the glories to all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Now we'll take our break. Please feel free to stretch. Come back in a couple minutes. We're going to start. You can stay and watch the movie if you wish. Hare Krishna.
Let's watch the movie.
So we have to simply take instruction from Guru, and if we execute that to our heart and soul, that is success. That is practical. I have no personal qualification, but I simply try to satisfy my Guru. That's all. My Guru Maharaj asked me that if you get some money, you print books. So, there was a private meeting talking, some of my important in God brothers also there. It was in Radha Kunda. So, Guru Maharaj was speaking to me that since we have got this Bhagavajar and Marble Temple, there has been so many dissensions. And everyone is thinking we'll occupy this one or that one, that one. I wish therefore to sell this temple and the marble and bring some gold. Yeah. So I took up this from his mouth that is very fond of books. And he told me personally that if you get some money, print books.
Welcome back. We're continuing with our assessment of the campaign across the world. And now we're going to hear from North America, our spokesperson for North America, who is monitoring what's going on and is going to share various achievements so far, is Nandini Kishori Devi. So we invite you to please tell us how it's going so far.
Thank you, Vaisheshika Prabhu. I'm so unqualified, but please bless me so that I can speak something to benefit this meeting. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Vanchakalpa. Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anukul Seva Prabhu, can you please share my slide presentation? Or give me, or let me allow to share my screen.
You should be able to, Mother.
Many many centers. And this is so enlivening. I pray that Srila Prabhupada is happy to hear reports from so many centers. Okay, multiple participants. Sorry about this. Hare Krishna. Can you see my presentation, Prabhu?
Yes, Mother.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hare Krishna. So we have scores from ISV. This most ecstatic. 500. They have done 500 sets for so far. And what is working for them is presenting Srimad Bhagavatam to everybody, everywhere, at all the time. They're doing Rath Yatras door to door, and really an excellent example for all of us to follow. The rest of, and everybody is so dedicated to this mission. It's really fascinating. This next center I really want to point out is Laguna Beach Temple. Vedavit Prabhu has been networking a lot. They have done 45 out of 108 sets. And his personal networking and personal messages of the team are really, really helping this center. The next center is Boise, Idaho. It's a very small congregation. You can literally count on your fingers how many core members are there or DT dressers are there. And they have still done 5 out of 15. And the core congregation members are inspired, and they seek our blessings of everybody to accomplish 10 more sets. And really exciting is that this Tallahassee Center, which recently reopened, and they immediately ordered Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And here's the temple president and his wife at the new temple, Janeshwari from and Kaliya Daman Prabhu. And they are so blissfully giving out Srimad Bhagavatam sets. One was recently distributed. Another temple is Round Rock, Texas. And this is a very interesting temple because core book distributors are very limited. And as we know, our dear beloved Mahasundari Madhavi just had a baby. But what they're doing different this year is they're training many people to become staunch Srimad Bhagavatam book distributors, and they're really eyeing Balram Purnima so as to increase the book distribution. For Dallas, Texas, Bhakti Vrikshas have become their epicenters, just like Divyanam Prabhu from London just told us. Bhakti Vrikshas have become really the core centers of distributing Srimad Bhagavatam all over Dallas and that part of Texas. Door to door, they did 1 set and they published. I'm sure they have done more after that. Alacha, my hometown. So a lot of things have been working here. The Shraddhadan, people can sponsor set after someone has departed. India, we have some read Gita reading groups, even people in India, and they are taking Srimad Bhagavatams while they learn to, when they continue to read Gita from their Gita as it is. And it's it's my civil engineering colleagues group. After 25 years, we have first time started to read Gita together. Then personal messages are working, Sunday book tables are working, and just asking everyone is also the best way. Like nobody is disqualified from getting a Srimad Bhagavatam. And just straightforward, ask them, share the bliss, share the mercy. Philadelphia Center they have done 3 sets so far out of 35. Their announcement started prior this year. That really helped. Reaching out personally through texts and calls is helping. Placing in Hindu temples, and then 3 other temples just sent me these scores. Orlando has done 2, Minneapolis has done 7, and Harrisburg has done 1. This is a DC devotees. They are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam at the Patel Brothers. It's a very beautiful display and the beautiful throne, as you can see. Then we have more centers that will report their scores this year that didn't report last year. So we have Detroit, Tallahassee, 2 centers in Trinidad. and St. Louis. They had gone dormant last year. And dear devotees, my really humble request with tears in my eyes, and that please let us help each other by reaching more centers. It'll be very wonderful to hear from all the centers in North America about their goals and progress. And understand the leaders are very busy, but it will really, really help us if they can get to us in timely manner. This is a really humble request. Another question I have been asked many times is, how are India orders? Do we get scores? And this question seems to be repeating. So it's quick clarification. Yes, absolutely. If you place an order in India BBT, you get scores, they deliver. And if you need more logistics, please approach Shama Mohini or I. And then one more question, if I may ask you, Vaisheshika Prabhu, can we still order sets from Germany? If you would like to clarify on that now or later. And that's the report from North America. And Anukul Seva Prabhu, please feel free to share the map of North America. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
Hari Bo. Let's ask Brahma Muhurta Prabhu. I'm not sure what your question is. Can we still order books from Germany? But maybe you can clarify. Brahma Muhurta will answer.
Or from UK. I don't.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Brahma Muhurta Prabhu, welcome.
Haribol. So I can report that 9,600 sets were completed. They have been completed about 2 months ago. And the North American BBT is struggling to get them to America. First containers were ordered, then I think they canceled the containers. They didn't like something about the height of the containers. And then the COVID situation and the Suez Canal disaster has disrupted. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the container shipments are a total mess worldwide. Everyone is struggling to get containers. I don't know exactly how the North American BBT is doing in this regard, because they are shipping the books. They have been struggling now for 8 weeks, I think, or maybe 9 weeks to get the books to North America. Maybe some of them are already on a boat. Maybe, I think so. I think one container they managed to get on a boat, but you would have to ask the North American BBT. Svavas Prabhu would know more precisely. Can you order more sets from the printed in Germany? Well, 5,000, I have the list here, 5,000 of these 9,600 are going to America. Do you need more than 5,000?
No, I think that's okay. I think she's just expressing spiritual anxiety for getting Krishna. So the books are on their way. And it goes to this point we've made many times, is we can't take these books for granted. They're so easy to get, it seems, but anything can happen in the world at any time. Paper can be a shortage. There could be a war that blocks it. We should take advantage while we've got the opportunity, because it's not an ordinary thing to get books so fast. And then when they're slowed down, we think like, what happened? Well, the whole world's going through trouble right now. So that's what's happening, but we're going to get them. They're on their way. There's been a lot of trouble.
I can tell you where else we shipped the other 4,600 to the UK. The UK got 1,200 sets, have been there for several weeks. Divyanam Prabhu, I would like to hear from him how the reception is of those sets in the UK. Then we shipped to Norway, to Germany, to the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, Hungary, Slovenia, Croatia, Bulgaria. New Zealand got 120. Australia got 1,440 sets, and Bulgaria has just reordered. They want more. This one pallet they got is not sufficient, they say. They're so beautiful, they want to distribute more. So we are still trying to scramble more sets. Maybe we can squeeze out another 500 sets or so from the printer, from volumes that were overprinted, and they may have to print 1 or 2 volumes again in a smaller quantity, just to fulfill the desires of the book distributors in Europe.
Thank you very much, Brahma Muhurta Prabhu. I think that gave us a view behind the scenes of the hard work that Brahma Muhurta Prabhu and the other BBT publishers do. They're tireless in working to get these books printed and distributed to all of us. I've seen it. Brahma Muhurta Prabhu is a very Brahminical person, but every waking hour goes to getting Prabhupada's books out to the world. Our deep gratitude to you, Prabhu, and all the other publishers. Thank you very much.
I can report that the Hungarian devotees, they got from us 1.5 years ago, they got 500 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, Hungarian. They reordered. Now we are printing 1,000 in India. The German devotees have reordered 1,000 Bhagavatam sets. They, as Janananda Maharaj has said, the French devotees, they are still not sure whether they want 1,000 or 2,000 sets. The French sets will be printed from film that we inherited in 1987 from the French BBT, which we had to put together about 15,000 bits and pieces of film, which we had to glue together now the last 3 months. And actually, I just had a meeting with one devotee yesterday. We can now print. We can print the French sets. So that is a really good, that's a milestone for us that finally we can reprint the French set. We have Russian sets, we have Indonesian sets. I mean, the Bhagavatam set is available in actually quite a number of languages. I have a list if you ever want to know in which languages we have.
We want the list. We want the
list. You want the list?
Yeah, please send us the list and we'll get them all distributed. Right, everybody?
Fantastic. Super.
We have to move to the next speaker. We're deeply grateful and we want the list. We're going to liquidate everything. And if anybody's wondering whether to order 1,000 or 2,000, then go for the higher number, please. Don't hesitate. We're here for a very short time in the planet. Go crazy like the Panchatattva. Break open the storehouse of love of God, distribute its contents. Now we're going to
best investment. Invest in Bhagavatam.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Now we're going to hear from Canada. Anuttama Prabhu, please tell us how's things going there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Things are going well in Canada, and we'll have Anukul Seva can share the North American map. So I had a good opportunity to go to Vancouver and meet with the Sankirtan leader there, and they're doing lots of festivals and things are opening up. Calgary, they've distributed 12 sets already, and I think they are well on their way to do 20 sets. Toronto, they're doing lots of calling parties, and they've done 50 sets already. We don't have Montreal here, but I did connect with Montreal. They've done 5 sets, I believe, and there would also be a beneficiary of the French Srimad Bhagavatam sets. They distribute 50% in English, and then 50% of their books they distribute are in French. Ottawa, I believe, has done 8 Srimad Bhagavatam sets in our capital there. And then there's a couple of other centers that are not listed here that I'm getting them involved in the Bhadra campaign would be Atlantic Canada. They've done 1 set there. And then Manitoba, they would, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, they would like to distribute these Prabhupada libraries. So the Srimad Bhagavatam set would be part of those libraries, and they will be ordering from the BBT for the first time this month. So glories to their service. And Saskatoon as well, getting them involved to distribute a couple of sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. All the merchandise have been delivered, and all the devotees are really, really happy with the Bhadra merchandise. I just wanted to pass that feedback on as well. And it's a sprint to the finish, like the Olympics. So with the summer winding down and Janmashtami, Balaram Jayanti, Radhashtami, it's going to be a sprint to the finish in Canada for 300 sets.
Thank you so much, Anuttama Prabhu. I love the sprint to the finish. Keep in mind, everybody, we have 34 days left. And last year, we just started Bhadra around this time. And we only were at 2,000, and our goal was 10,000. And then we thought, how are we going to get 10,000? And we got 20. So 34 days is an eternity. And sprinting in Krishna consciousness is a good idea, because if we don't do that, then we'll do something else. Okay, now we're moving over to Russia. And one of the favorites of everybody on this team, Ambarishi Maharaj, who's been the spokesperson for Russia and organizing force there, is now joining us to tell us, how's it going in Russia? We're on the edge of our seats to hear what happens there. Somehow you're muted. Anukul, what's happening? Marj, we can't hear you yet. Hold on.
Maharaj was doing Russian interpretation. I'm just trying to get him off it.
Okay. So just as a note, there's translation going on behind the scenes here. It's for devotees in Russia and perhaps in other countries too. Is switching over. Russia.
России.
Maharaj, you should be able to, we hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yes, Maharaj, we can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In Russia, we have two big teams that are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets. One is Moscow. Devotees are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets on the Sunday feast program. Every Sunday we have at least 3 different programs and 3 centers in Moscow, and devotees every Sunday are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets to those who are coming for the Sunday program. Also, we are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets when I am traveling and giving different classes in different temples. I'm distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And another team is organized by Valmiki Prabhu. They are doing Padayatra from the far east, from Vladivostok to Moscow. Now they reached the Volga region and they have distributed around 70 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So altogether we have maybe around 120 Srimad Bhagavatam sets has been done up till now. And we are trying to reach the goal of 200 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. When you were describing the various regions in which you're pushing forward, it sounds very much like strategy for warfare. And it reminds me of how Prabhupada would put on the headers of each one of his letters, Camp Dallas, Texas, Camp Bombay, and so forth. Camp is a military term. In other words, there's an encampment there. We're gaining ground territory in the world. And he wanted us, and so did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to look towards conquering the world with Krishna consciousness. And the very practical means of doing that is through literature distribution. This is historically proven. So thank you very much for taking up the Russian front and Russia.
They have to bring me back to translation.
Okay, Maharaj, thank you very much. All glories to the Russian devotees. All glories to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
So now, greatly anticipated in my heart and the hearts of many others, we've invited His Holiness Sachinandan Swami, who's a book distributor from the very beginning and who's one of the treasured personalities in our Krishna consciousness movement and one of my personal mentors and a great hero and inspiration. Thank you very much for joining us today, Sachinandan Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vaisheshika Prabhu. It's a great joy to see you. Hari Bol, Brahma Muhurta Prabhu. After seeing your wonderfully groomed and developed daughter, I feel my affection for you has increased even more. And Hare Krishna, everyone on this call. It is definitely a great joy to be with you, because anyone who has been in contact with either publishing the books, sorry, I'm told I have some issue here with the sound. Right, this is maybe the best we can do. Is it all right, Vaisheshika Prabhu, the sound? Is it?
Perfect.
Good. Everyone who has been engaged either in translating, publishing, or distributing Srila Prabhupada's books has really had an experience of the transcendental energy just going into his or her life and uplifting one totally.
Listen if you want to listen.
This is something which is really one of the magical byproducts of book distribution and book publishing. You touch transcendence and you feel it. It's like stepping on a live wire and feeling the different energy going through you. And I'm going to speak briefly about how to feel that transcendental empowerment. So I'm very, very grateful. I feel I've joined my secret brotherhood of book distributors and book publishers, and I'm very inspired to address you on the principles of book distribution and then on transcendental empowerment. And I will be really brief. First of all, I wouldn't be here if there would not have been a merciful devotee who distributed literature to me. Vaisheshika Prabhu has informed us that movements spread by the spreading of literature. And yes, I have seen that also. When I got my first piece of literature, it was actually a Back to Godhead magazine. I surrendered my last amount of Lakshmi, which was in the pocket, which I needed actually for a train to bring me back where I was living. When I got this literature, I remember trying to read Prabhupada's article. It was the peace formula. And I could not understand a word. Then I took the book, not the book, the magazine home and tried a second time. And I do remember reading a sentence which struck me, and I still remember the sentence. I mean, I've written it down, but I remember the moment when I read it, what it did to me. Here's the sentence: if you want peace at all, you will have to change your consciousness into Krishna consciousness, both individually and collectively. So Prabhupada was talking about removing a false concept of peace and success and exchanging it with Krishna consciousness. And the way he just wrote these sentences with so much conviction, really, I can only say it exploded my understanding. I was first a little rebellious. How is this so? But then upon reading it, I could understand, yes, when you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. The Bhagavatam speaks about the man in the mirror, a person standing before the mirror. If you want your mirror image to change, you need to put a tilak on your forehead. You need to do something with the person who stands before the mirror. So the world is only a mirror for the consciousness of the many people who are in it. And if we want it ever to be different, we have to go to the individual person, that one person, that single person, yes, and give him something which changes his consciousness. And then the man in the mirror or the projections out in the world will also change. I still remember this very, very fondly, because after reading it, even struggling with the concept at the very initial state, I had a profound change, and I understood it's not enough to just protest for peace. It's not enough to just be rebellious towards the society and trying to change it. I have to change myself first. And Prabhupada was the one who told it to me, and I understood it, and I decided to purchase a Bhagavad Gita. At that time, it was not yet in the BBT, it was a Macmillan Bhagavad Gita, and read it, and it changed me. I do remember our Brahma Muhurta Prabhu. He took a whole, I think, suitcase of Prabhupada's books with him. He traveled to India. He sat at a holy place and he read the books one by one. And when he was finished, a bus came by, and out came devotees of Krishna, and they swooped him up. They took him in the bus, and he became the BBT manager eventually. So the books do something. They do something to the man in the mirror, the man who stands before the world and looks at the world at a reflection. They change him. So therefore, this is the most noble spiritual activity for spreading Krishna consciousness. What is the contents of this book? There is a repeated message. I have found one quote from Srila Prabhupada, which brings the message of the books on the point. It says, the Lord does not want any one of his innumerable sons, living entities, to remain in the material world of the threefold miseries, to perpetually suffer the material pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. The Lord doesn't want anyone to stay and suffer in this world. And a great plot has been arranged by him. Brahma was sent into the world to create, but he had a secret second mission, which was very much on his heart. His second mission was to enlighten the conditioned souls so that they could qualify and rejoin the eternal spiritual world. Prabhupada writes in one Bhagavatam, but you will like this very much. Anyone here it is. Anyone who's preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya, that's the lineage following Lord Brahma, which has his ideas in it. Anyone who's preaching is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord becomes satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, and he shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. Everyone out there who listens to this is the way to become introduced to Krishna. Join the Brahma's mission to enlighten the conditioned souls so that they can go back home, and the Lord will come and shake your hands. Now we are moving towards the Bhadra campaign, and I remember my main service is I'm still a preacher, but I'm preaching on various ways. League of Yogis, various outreach programs, kirtan events, festivals for the devotees, etc. But when the month of Bhadra came last year, I read that anyone who gives away a Bhagavatam set on a golden throne, what was the result? He goes back to Godhead, isn't it? Vaisheshika, he goes back to Godhead.
Yes.
And I thought I need a little back to Godhead in my program. But I thought, a golden throne, how do I get a golden throne? And then I Googled on Amazon, in case anyone is interested to get easy. Here it is. I think you can see a little. It has, this is a throne book chair. And I got a few Bhagavatam sets actually, and put them on the throne, and then gave it away to the people. I put them in a what is a paper basket, or no, what is it called? Cartoon. And yes, because I need a little back to Godhead doses. Now I know from many years of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books on the street, and later opening Namhata programs all over the German-speaking areas of Europe, I know that sometimes distributing sets of books to people who are not yet willing to take the books can be an austerity. It can be difficult. Those of you who were on book distribution on the streets know it. Those who go door to door, I heard in Silicon Valley, every Saturday, the devotees in the temple empties out and goes to door, and sometimes you get less enthusiastic responses, let us say like this. You need inner strength to do this. It's not armchair philosophy. It's getting out there and facing, I could say, this timeless resistance against Krishna's control. And spiritual strength is necessary. My dear devotees, first of all, I would like to give you a beautiful quotation which says that there are two types of strengths. This one normal strength, and with the physical and intelligence, and then spiritual strengths. And then I would like to give you some idea how you might develop your spiritual strengths, or refreshen your spiritual strengths, or heighten your spiritual strengths. First of all, there are two types of strengths. Prabhupada writes this in 9, 10, 20, 9th canto, 10th chapter, verse 20. There are two types of strengths, Daiva and Purushakara. Daiva refers to the strengths achieved from the transcendence, spiritual world. And Purushakara refers to the strengths organized by one's own intelligence and power. Transcendental power, Prabhupada says, is always superior. Beautiful quotation, isn't it? It appears in the part of the Bhagavatam where we find the army of monkeys confronting the well-armed army of the Asuras, the demons who were fighting for Ravan. And we find the surprising result that the monkeys were superior because they were empowered by Lord Ram Machandra, Daiva strength, his spiritual strength, which was victorious over all the material strengths, even the armed strengths of the Rakshasas. How can you, on this call, and your friends, and obtain this spiritual strength, which will make you, give you strength to distribute these books. Srila Prabhupada wrote about this in a letter to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had often spoken with me about this particular letter because he was amongst those devotees who went behind the Iron Curtain, that was at a time when the East Bloc, we called it, formed a strong alliances of countries. And there was always the danger of an outbreak between the countries which were from the West and the country in the East Bloc. So what separated the East and the West was called an Iron Curtain. So Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was one of the devotees who went with the BBT Library Party behind the Iron Curtain into the East, where at that time atheistic materialism ruled as the state's philosophy. Yes, Karl Marx and the communistic doctrines were very strong, and they were not appreciating anything spiritual at that time. So he went there, and news came back that whenever he returned, he had distributed, I'm so bad in numbers, but phenomenal amounts of Bhagavatam sets, phenomenal. 250 on one journey. I was really, our brains were smoking. It was so much. And Srila Prabhupada had carefully observed the BBT Library Party and their adventures in distributing sets of Bhagavatam behind the Iron Curtain. And he wrote a letter which I thought was very nice. In this letter, you find out some hints how to obtain your own spiritual empowerment. Prabhupada wrote, "Now you must agree to very rigidly follow the rules and regulations. In other words, chanting 60 rounds of beads daily, rising early, attending Mangal Aarti, observing the 4 principles, attending the classes, eating only Bhagavad Prasadam, as well as working under the instruction of my representatives, such as your GBC representative and the temple president. And if you follow this procedure very strictly, then your life will be glorious." My dear devotees, as the Bhadra campaign gains momentum, as our spirits are rising, and as we listen to these numbers from the BBT, from Canada, from France, and all around the world, please let us remember the second half of the Bhadra campaign. Only when the two come together, it will be really moving forward. And I know that you know it, but I get my prasadam for saying this. This is the duty of preachers. Please, everyone, think how you can raise your level of consciousness so that you can have an empowered life where the Daivi strength, the Daivi Prakriti moves through you and gives you wings by which you can overcome the ordinary obstacles which you may know. It is simple. Increase your sadhana, have association with devotees who are inspiring, you in your progressive path of Krishna consciousness. Very important. If you want to go to a higher level, associate with those who are already on this level, who embody the very ideals which you would like to develop. And third, read the books yourself regularly. These are the 3 P's of empowerment. P, the letter P, huh? Philosophy, people, and practice. Or in Sanskrit, the Shastras, the sadhus, sadhu sangha, and sadhana. They will help you to come in contact with this life via of transcendental empowerment. I thank you very much. I thank our Vaisheshika very much for heading up this program. I was unlimitedly happy to see Brahma Muhurta Prabhu with his very accurate tilak. That has always amazed me how he can make such a beautiful tilak. I can imagine the man in the mirror has also a tilak because he has learned to put it, to change his life. And then the reflection also has. Yeah, so these are some thoughts. For us, I'm happy to hear that the German devotees are inspired and into it. That's very nice. And for us, very soon, next weekend, the Ratha Yatra comes, and we can make an announcement from the stage. We are right in the best place in Berlin, Brandenburger Gate, and have a stage, and we will make a lot of spiritual vibrations. Germany needs this now. I mean, the whole world needs this positive thing. And we will also, I will call the temple president after this phone and tell him to make arrangements that we can sell Bhagavatam. I thank you very much. I will get off the call, but I will continue to listen because I'm with my brothers here, book distribution brothers and sisters. It is very nice for me. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Gaur
Krishna.
Premanande, Hari Bol. Marj, you gave us the full meal. We're so happy. I'm personally, I can say I'm the happiest person on the earth without question right now. Thank you very much for being here. This is a game changer. Coming on. We're so grateful. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande. Now that we have great news. We're going to be putting up the numbers on the map for France. This is huge, really big news. Europe coming alive, and the map lighting up. Europe can lead the world. France can lead the world. Anybody can rise in due course of time. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is just incremental, and apply the right principles. And we have everything in place to make a huge comeback in Europe. Huge. Thank you, Janananda Swami, for being there with your enthusiasm. We heard also that Pragosh Prabhu from the GBC Pragosh also made announcement in London, Rath Yatra, main stage for Bhadra. So Bhagavatam is taking its rightful place in the world, which is main stage. We also have thrones. We have thrones, golden thrones available in Toronto, also in California here for those who need them. We have them in London also. There's one. Divyanam can hold it up again. Please spotlight him. As Maharaj brought it up, he'll be happy to know that we are making those available with the sets. In fact, I saw a couple of years ago at our San Francisco Rath Yatra, someone was so impressed with the throne, they came up and said, "How much is that?" And I think it was Malini said, "It's $250 and you got a Bhagavatam set with it." And she took it because she wanted the throne so much. So the thrones are available. Now we're going to show a few slides to finish the meeting. We have just 3 minutes left. Orienting us all to where we're going. We can certainly go somewhere if we know where it is we're going. We just have to take steps. Whatever small step you have to take, just go that direction. So this is the Go to Goloka campaign, not to be taken lightly. This is a serious matter where the world is in dire need of the Bhagavatam, and also those who distribute the Bhagavatam will become very dear to Lord Krishna. As His Holiness Sachinandan Swami said, Krishna will come and shake your hand for taking up this cause. So get on board. Next slide tells us the exact date. Mark this on your calendar. Don't let it sneak up. Every day is precious. Don't become remorseful after missing any days, because once you get in the fire, then you'll think, why didn't I start this earlier? Well, there's 34 days left, right? 34 days left in this marathon towards Bhadra. That's a lot. That's an eternity if we take full advantage of it. Full advantage means do something every day. Prabhupada said, I write at least one sentence a day in my books. Look what happened. So don't think you're doing it. Think Lord Chaitanya is doing it. All you have to do is be the instrument. He wants to use you to distribute books, especially Bhagavatams coming up for Bhadra. Our goal, please get a tattoo on your way home or wherever you may be. If your tattoo shop is closed, you can look up how to make one at home. Put this on your arm or your neck for a tattoo. Bhadra 2021 goal is 25,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. Eat book, sleep book. Keep your mind on the goal. Everything counts. We are going to smash this goal together, and we're going to celebrate dancing and kirtan all together for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. Well, we're going to have a Bhadra Dan Yagya at Naimisharanya, where the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. And we'll be announcing the names of every single person who contributed towards this campaign. And so turn your names in, that is, report, is what I meant to say. Those people who have taken sets. We'll have an extravaganza across the world with many speakers and presentations during this Bhadra Dan Yagya. And there'll be a live yagya with Brahmins there at Naimisharanya to emphasize the importance of this program. Show your merch. Sachinandan Swami, if you're listening, we've just sent you yours. We're getting them out to all the different places of the world. Brahma, did you get your merch?
It arrived, but I didn't have a chance to pick it up yet. It's at the post office. It's at the post office.
I've got mine on right now, is what's keeping me going. It's this wristband. The Indraduna Maharaj, as soon as he got his, he sent this photo. And we're hearing from devotees all over the world who are getting their merch. It's ecstatically charged, this merch. There's something about it. So once you get it, once you get your merch, please take a picture, a photo of any of it. There's several items that you'll get in the package. Take a picture and send it back so we can put you on the list. Shraddhan is an idea whose time has arrived to benefit departed relatives. You can sponsor sets. You could do it on a recurring basis or on a one-time basis. I'm going to do it for my parents. And it encourages everybody from that very visceral level to share Srimad Bhagavatam with others. This is an ongoing eternal program, Shraddhan. It's now launched. You can subscribe to this by contacting us here at shraddhan.com, and we will work with you if you communicate with us to get your local Shraddhan program started. Get in on the ground floor, because this is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest of all book distribution programs. The mother of all book distribution is going to happen through this subscription program. Also, we have the Gram Vidyadan village. There are millions of villages in India, and they're being overrun by propaganda from various groups, misleading people away from the Vedic culture. And we're finding that just by placing a set of Srimad Bhagavatams in a village, people rally around it, becomes the nucleus for spiritual strength. And this is one of the ways to save India, is to place these Bhagavatam sets. So this program is called Gram Vidya Dan, and it's going on in earnest this year. We're going to do thousands of Bhagavatam sets, placement that is, in these villages all over India. So this is a cause that for which many people will want to give their money. You can get information for all of these programs at info@bbtbooks.org. That's info@bbtbooks.org. Our operators are standing by 24 hours a day to take your calls and emails. So please don't hesitate. Ask any question that you have whatsoever, and they'll jump right in to help you. Now we have active tracker working, tracker.bhadracampaign.com. This is where we're keeping track of all the scores and putting them up on the map. So just know that every set you distribute, record it on the tracker. So we have it in real time. We're not waiting for the Sankirtan newsletter to come out, but we're tracking it in real time and putting it on the maps. The maps change daily, and we want to see all the numbers so we're informed about how close we are to the goal. Thank you, everybody, for joining this Bhadra campaign. Go to Goloka. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Lakshmana Shringadev. If you so desire, please empower our global team to rise to the occasion, to please His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and all of your lordships to distribute at least 25,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam worldwide. Please give us strength from your holy name, from reading the Bhagavatam, following 4 regular principles, and please send us all facility, and we promise to use it all in your service to expand your glories. Thank you very much for considering our request. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in part or in whole, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Krishna.
Ram, Ram Ram,
Padvusha,
Hare
Kripa Sindhi,
Krishna.
Patitanam Bhavani,
Hare
Vaishnava.